Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for watching. I want to communicate a thought. I hope you get some value from it. It's an interesting thought that I keep coming back to when I speak to my father, when I think about life, when I see interesting content. I just watched for example, debate between Malcolm Gladwell and a cohort of his. I don't remember her name. They represented the mainstream media, and on the opposition was Douglas Murray and Matt Taibbi, um, who argued the point that the mainstream media currently is not as well liked or trusted as it has been historically. Uh, I thought it was a very interesting debate, and I'll let you watch it. It was on. I just subscribed to his channel. It was on. Oh no, I can't find it, but you'll find it if you look on YouTube. I almost watch YouTube exclusively now. But anyway, here's this idea. We live in the West, at least, in a Aristotelian framework, in a Platonic framework, meaning we're concerned with what things are made of, the stuff, the definable, reducible, or let's say irreducible particles, the things. We are materialists, right? We're consumers. We're interested in substance. Um, Platonic ideals is a representation of that. Aristotelian uh, language and thought moves us to science and engineering. Great things. Medicine by all accounts. I think we're running into the problem of an Aristotelian framework at the limit. There's a counterpoint to the world of order, Aristotelian order. Again, to get away from this idea of Aristotelian, just think of kind of enlightenment. In the tradition of the dramatists of ancient Greece, the Enlightenment of Europe celebrated, very justifiable values, right? Justice, uh, you know, drama, um, the the exploration of higher ideals, uh, you might say. Whenever I have a conversation or a debate or an interaction, let's just say, I notice something in my body, and I want to communicate this because this is the foundational idea that I meant to speak to, and I kind of took a tangent there. I wonder if you have noticed the same thing. Sometimes when we talk to somebody or have an interaction, we're in a system. We can feel that we're in a system. There's a stimulus response. It's very mechanistic. You give money, you get your ticket, you go take the ride, right? There's nothing unknown about that. I don't enjoy how would you say, pedestrian interactions. I like interesting, uh, unknown, mysterious uh, interactions, ones where you don't know what's going to happen. It's one of the things that is the great driving force for a love of sport or art, for that matter. The interest in the uh, subsequent intrigue, right, to come from an unknown response to a given stimulus. If you know the response that you're going to get from a stimulus, you're merely a part of a machine. But if you are getting novel responses from stimulus, then you're dealing with a living organism, right? Do you see the difference? I notice when I am interacting with something that is uh, living, right? Whether it's a person or a group of people or an animal or what have you. I've noticed the tendency of my own psychology to move one way or the other. It's something that psychologists speak about, philosophers speak about. There's two ways of going through the world. You might say it's roughly represented by the two hemispheres of the brain, the left and right brain. It's represented by the yin and yang, order and chaos. Okay. Order, of course, is that mechanistic one-to-one Aristotelian, again, to use that reference. I put a stimulus in, I know the response that I'm going to get. You know, a mathematician, an accountant might enjoy that place more than its analog, its antithesis, its complement. Being, of course, chaos, unknown, living, right? So what constitutes those things? Here's my thesis: an openness, a nothingness, the ability to move and flow. When we get too rigid in anything, in our thinking, in our movements, in our behaviors, we break. It is the ability to bend that allows us to continue to live. I've found that a way of representing the ability to move in novel ways, both psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, philosophically, is the focus as a motif, as a style, as a overarching topic to explore: nothingness, the idea of nothing. I might have lost you and I apologize. But again, the main thrust of my argument today is that the most important thing for the saving grace, for the salvation of the Western world in a day and age where we have gone too far in terms of the exploration and celebration of our things, of our stuff, of our given known logic chains and loops, our stimulus response aggregated systems, is nothingness. If we can have some sort of celebration of space, of the unknown, of the dark, of you see, the characteristic of those things is an exploration, right? Because if there's an unknown, then the way to interact with the unknown is to be an explorer, is to be courageous, is to go into the dark, the unknown, and find what is waiting there for you. That's the model, you see. If things are known, then the model is entirely different. But I think that the model that is necessary to be employed in our Western world nowadays, to the detriment of the corrupt institutions and to the benefit of every individual, is the celebration of the exploratory individual in the face of unknown chaos, unknown interaction, unknown experience. We live in such a harm focused society. Like, this show Physical 100 just became really popular on Netflix out of South Korea, and it's fascinating to see a culture that is a quote unquote honor culture. It's very clear. I urge you to go watch Physical 100 if you remember, like, American Gladiator from back in the day, and if you enjoy physical competition. It's beautiful, in my opinion, to see a culture that is focused on both bivalent, on the positive side, honor, right? Respect, those characteristics that, when employed, bring positivity and that which should be admired on the self. And on the negative side, shame, versus a culture like the United States, where we are much more focused on harm and abating harm and saving people from harm, and you just couldn't have that show, Physical 100, in the United States. And I think it's a great show. So what's my point? My point is, too often we feel like everything is known and we're merely worker bees in a known system. And that can be unbelievably disheartening, the idea that people have already conquered the system and we're, the proletariat in the Western world, a peon in an evil empire. I think a lot of young people are mired in depression, anxiety, self-destructive behaviors, and just kind of a Marxist ideology because of this way of looking at the world. And I just don't think it has to be that way. I think equal parts to the world is known, and our place is to find a way to live in it, is the realization that the world is unknown, that the world and life itself, consciousness even, is a utter mystery to even the greatest minds. And that to accept the opportunity to be a explorer of this mystery is a beautiful thing, and something to be excited for, is a much better story to tell the youth than the one that we are telling them. So that's my thesis. Nothingness has value. It's the same reason why if you clean up your room, the best thing will come into your room. The space that is your room will manifest the activity or item that you most want. There is a greater mechanistic circulation that is beyond our understanding, that when we act in accordance with, moves us to a higher a higher way of being. I hesitate to try to get too spiritual, nor do I want to kind of pirate the ideas of others, because I'm referencing a lot of the kind of the neat ideas that I've read recently. But again, I just think there's something to be said for, we don't know it all, and exploring unknown inner and outer space together is a better way forward than the depression, nihilism, or vain narcissism that comes from believing that we live in an inherently known material world. I hope that's helpful. I know it's extremely abstract and obscure, and I've been playing the Souls games, so I'm kind of used to obscure storytelling. But I think when you talk to an idea, it's endlessly slippery as it falls through your fingers, the substance of the existence of that idea. Because unless we're talking about Platonic, Aristotelian ideas that are easily definable, when we talk about Dionysian or uh, kind of Eastern ideas of flow and energy movement and the utility of space and nothingness and chaos, words sort of fail. At least words sort of fail me at the ability to speak to them. So my main thrust is understanding what it is to suffer from trauma, pain, and mental illness. And I think a lot of people in the Western world do. And I would submit that the answer is a sort of willingness to explore the unknown spaces inside oneself, in between people, and in the greater world. And I think that's terrifying, because what's more terrifying than the unknown, right? Because when we face the unknown, we have to face the manifesting capability of our greatest fears, our own mind, right? Because our own mind always has the tactical advantage over us. It knows what we're most afraid of, and the more that we're able to delve into that, the more we're able to come to terms uh, with the place between places, if you will. Uh, anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will come back with another video shortly.